The American Italian Cultural Center and Museum on South Peters in New Orleans offers event venue space, Italian language classes, dual citizenship and translation services, seminars, genealogy, and trips to Italy. Ciao, AmericanItalianCulturalCenter.com. This program is brought to you in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support education, the arts, and culture in the greater New Orleans area.
I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, with updates from the local restaurant, arts, and entertainment scenes. Joining me, Poppy Tucker, host of Louisiana Eats on WWNO Radio. Howdy.
Hello.
Hello. We're glad he's back. Visual and performance artist Jose Torres-Tama, here to discuss new work and having an open studio on Saturday. Welcome back, kiddo. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Hello. And Alan Smason in Siasaka, editor of the Crescent City Jewish News and TheaterCriticism.com. Hi, Alan.
Glad to be here.
Poppy, meal deals on the North Shore this time.
Exactly. So we've got culinary. Up in St. Tammany Parish, they have the Tammany Taste of Summer, which is the same sort of concept. And there's so many participating restaurants. And I really just wanted to say, it is so hot outside. So give yourself a really fun little food vacation. Mm-hmm. Get in your air-conditioned car, drive to an air-conditioned restaurant, and have a wonderful time. And, I wanted to start with Pat Gallagher, because he has, oh my gosh, his steaks, just the best. And he's got restaurants in Mandeville, in Covington, but he also has a really great steakhouse in Slidell. And at Pat Gallagher's, you can have the bargain of 3 courses for $36.
Jeez.
Then another one of my favorite places is Restaurant Cote, which is right in downtown Slidell. 2 can dine there for $49.99. What a great deal. And if you're looking for something upscale and beautiful, there's nothing lovelier than Palmetto's on the Bayou. The view is grand and the food is beautiful. 3 courses on the Tammany Taste of Summer menu, $52. And then I've got some other really crazy bargains, one being NOLA Southern, where you can get 2 courses at lunch for $10.99, 3 courses at dinner for just $27. And then how about Big Mama's Country Kitchen? That's 2 courses for $15. These are incredible bargain meals. And over in Madisonville, there's Odelia Cafe, 2 courses for $40. This is a lovely, very elegant little French sort of restaurant. And then I love the gals at Cured on Columbia in Covington. For $30, they're going to start you off with their cheese and charcuterie tray. And then there's other choices that join that, like tuna sashimi, smoked tomato tartine. This is all going on through August 31st. So take a little cool vacation for Tammany Taste of Summer. But it is still culinary here on the South Shore, and I found a great bargain. You can go right over to the commissary on Orange Street, which is just off Tchoupitoulas, where you can get dinner for 4 to go, Tuesday through Saturday, Caesar salad, chicken parmigiana, and tiramisu for $45. That is an incredible bargain, and you can stay right home in the air conditioning. Then, speaking of air conditioning, I know a wonderful, cool spot that's sort of dark and intimate. That's Dickie Brennan's Steakhouse. There are still a few tickets left for next Thursday, August 17th, his annual summer steakhouse dinner. And this is a picnic-style dinner, and You're going to start with mini oxtail Wellingtons, whiskey braised beef cheeks. There are 6 carving stations, carving up things like whole strip steak, beef fillet. Then there is an entree station, Asian sticky ribs, bourbon peach glazed brisket, oversized beef shank pot pie, and of course there's desserts, there's sides, there's top shelf cocktails, great beer and wine, and it's just $125, but some of the really great fun, we just saw Shannon Gosselin. He is one of the ranchers producing that locally produced grass-fed beef. So you can, they'll all be there. Meet the ranchers. And then, this is irresistible, Peggy. Next Tuesday, it's Napoleon's 23rd birthday.
Or 200 and something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
53rd.
23rd birthday. I wish it was mine. No, 253. Thank you, Peggy. And at 11:30 a.m. at the Napoleon House, they're having a celebration. There's going to be a champagne toast with sabering. Chef Chris Montero is making a special Napoleon cake. And Peggy, I have it on great authority that Napoleon himself will be there. So you see, I'm here with his hat. He'll be putting it right on his head. And what a celebration. What a fun idea. 253 years of Napoleon Bonaparte.
All right, thank you. And what a great idea to
What a
gather
fun
for that.
thing.
And there's this big movie coming out, I think, in the fall, all about Napoleon. So
Champagne and cake.
they were ahead of their
And
time.
it's free.
All right. Well, that's a deal, too.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And moving over to Jose. Jose, I like that you are sharing with your public, your adoring public, your works in progress, because here you are working on a big show, but this Saturday you can get a sneak preview.
I think using the same strategy that we used when we did the Ogden Museum Free People of Color, I invited La Creole community and folks to come to the studio and witness the work in progress. I think that's a very sweet and it's a visual history project, so it's a very unique experience to come to the studio where it's been created. So this week, second Saturday happens on St. Claude, so I'm opening up my studio that's at 1329 St. Roch, and people can come and bear witness to the works in progress.
Well, let's show some of them. We're going to show, I know right next to you, of course, is Louis, but we're going to do a closer up shot of that as well. Here you go. There you are.
And this is the archival print of Louis. So the original actually won the Best of Show at the Satchmo Festival so many moons ago. So we've created archival prints. The original's in the collector's hands, but we're using the archival prints to raise funds because we have some great news. Dr. Michael White will be the scholar, the jazz scholar that will be joining us. And it's being supported with the curation of David Kunian. And there's the
And this is in April at the Jazz Museum,
Yes.
the larger show. But this is sort of a great sneak preview if you're seeing also what's to come. And so some of this work is obviously already complete, but
They'll
you're
see
working
that.
on some more too.
Right,
aren't you?
they'll see that, the live piece, and it's mounted on wood Jelly Roll. I did so much research on Jelly Roll. And I really would recommend that Dirty Dozen Brass Bands does Jelly Roll Morton, because the most amazing aspect is that in between the songs, you get to hear Danny Barker telling you about the good time houses in Storyville. It is really quite amazing. So he gives you a little bit, audio history on what went down. But Jelly Roll was such an interesting character. And you have, so here's Mahalia Jackson, the spiritual crooner. There's a larger one of her being done because we're looking at icons of jazz, blues, and gospel. So with the Free People of Color research, it brought me right up into the era of Reconstruction and Jelly Roll Morton when jazz was being developed in the bordellos, right? So, and looking for Buddy Bolden.
Wow.
Buddy Bolden, very elusive with few photographs, and these are based on archival photographs. They're very expressionistic, which is part of my style, having studied at the Art Students League
And what
in
are
New
you
York.
using? What is?
I'm using pastels. There will be some in oils, but these are pastels. I love drawing. Drawing is actually my first love. And here's Les Hommes de Zydeco with Bruce Sampaio Barnes and the now deceased Bozo Chavez, who was considered the godfather of Zydeco, right? So what we often forget is that these musical iconic American genres were created during the Jim Crow South era, right, and segregation. So I always found these these genres as expressions of a people having experienced oppression. That's why you see the white and colored, and they're actually inspired by the placards that I researched that separated, that we had all over New Orleans in the Deep South during the Jim Crow and segregation, that only went away by, after the Civil Rights Movement. So it's a way, it's a double entendre, the color of music. So it's a way to look at New Orleans' visual history of the music through this process of these portraits, championing people. There'll also be Sidney Bechet. People get a chance to see one on Danny Barker, and we're actually looking into some blues people and some women to make sure that we represent
great.
women, such as Mahalia Jackson is a large one. Yeah, no, I try to be very conscious of my approach. The same thing we did with the Free People of Color. We have portraits of Henrietta DeLille, Marie Couvent, and Alice Ruth Dunbar Nelson. So it's very expressionistic, but people get a chance to have an opportunity to experience them in the home, in my home studio.
And once again, Saturday. Okay, so from 5 to 9, but you'll give a talk at 8 o'clock.
At 8 p.m.,
right?
yes, so 5 to 9.
Once again, 1329 St. Roch, and you can go also to your website, torres-tama.com, for more information and all of that as well. And Jose, you're a versatile guy, as we know, and you have been here in the past, not necessarily as a visual artist, but as a performance artist. So now that, thankfully, COVID, the horror of COVID is almost over, even though I know it keeps popping up on occasion, but you're able to tour again. So you're going back on the road?
I thank you very much, because for 2 years it was brutal. And I began only touring last year, and I was at Toronto International Latin Performance Festival, Theater Festival, and I was at Brown University, I was at a California college, and I was performing in Alabama as well. But this year, I begin by September 12th, I go off to University of Rhode Island, back to New England, back to Rhode Island, and then I go to a couple of Southern California colleges. A lot of my work is supported. Whenever I'm in Southern California, some people may remember I have these t-shirts that say, "No guacamole for immigrant haters," right? Because you can't love the food and demonize the cooks, straight up, right? So I'm grateful to be back on the road. The visual art is my first love. Creative writing is my second, and performance is my third, right? But I make my living performing. So I'm grateful to be back on the road.
Well, that's great. And yes, you're a one-person show. Also, I did not know this, and you've been in New Orleans a long time, that initially you were a street performer.
I've only been in New Orleans for 250 years. This is like my fifth incarnation.
I had no idea.
Yes, I performed for many. As a bad habit to support my large works on papers that were sometimes politically inclined, I sorted Dirty Dozen Brass Band. That's why I love them, performing on the streets in front of the Presbyterian when I got here back in 1984, right? So you could add the numbers. And I saw them and I was blown away. On top of that, there were some really great juggling comedy duos. And I saw a fire juggler and I was like, all right, that's what I'm gonna learn how to do. And I juggled fire for many years performing on the streets.
Well, Barrett, see something maybe you didn't know about, Jose.
But that's when I had long hair as well. So.
Oh, okay. Well, great to see you.
Pleasure.
Moving on to Mr. Allen.
Well, we're going to talk about Sweet Bird of Youth, because with its undercurrent of racism, statutory rape, and threatened castration, Tennessee Williams' Sweet Bird of Youth is not for the meek or for the young.
Wow.
It's set in the 1950s. It's a story of two desperate characters seeking salvation in the fictional town of St. Cloud, Mississippi. Rachel Whitman Groves plays Alexandra Del Lago, masquerading as the Princess Cosmonopolis. She magnificently plays a dismayed star running away from the Hollywood grind and oppressive fame. Meanwhile, Santo Panzarella as Chance Wayne has returned to his hometown despite many warnings. He's running towards celebrity and all of its false trappings. The two deliberately end up using each other. Chance uses his benefactors for what she can provide: a fancy car, expensive threads, and her potential prestige and influence in Hollywood. And as the obsessed former hometown golden boy, Panzarella portrays Chance magnificently. It's a difficult role that requires him essentially to constantly pivot from one disappointment to another, yet the desperate hope he harbors in his heart never seems to diminish. And I will say that in the end, though he finds basically he cannot outfox or outlive time itself. The object of his desire, by the way, is heavenly. That's Boss Finley's daughter, who he abandoned as a youth. That's Betsy Hope, who's seen in flashback with Chance. Boss Finley is played by John Watermark. You can see him there with the suspenders and the tie towards the right. He's the town demagogue who rules by intimidation with his henchmen and uses his rhetoric to inflame the public. It's superbly directed by Doug Spearman with a wonderful soundtrack. The design by Nick Shackelford is reminiscent of noir music, and dramaturgy is by Augustin Carrero. This is the most satisfying rendition of Sweet Bird of Youth I've ever seen. I recommend it most heartily, but seats are not going to be readily available. You need to go get your tickets now. Again, it's been extended through August the 19th. Meanwhile, for those of you who know the film starring Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner, the musical The Bodyguard is now on stage at the New Orleans Jazz Market. That's at Aretha Castle, Haley Boulevard, and Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Asada Renee plays Rachel Marin, the superstar who hires Frank Farmer, a farmer, a Secret Service agent as her bodyguard. Jake Wynn Scott plays Frank, of course. The key to this is that Asada has to sing most assuredly great, and she does. Most of the songs you know and love from Whitney's repertoire include How Will I Know, Where Do Broken Hearts Go, I'm Every Woman, and I'll Always Love You. Asada's character of Rachel is really under threat of a stalker, and she has the right to be concerned. She also has a son, Fletcher, played by two young actors. Fletcher and Frank also bond, and Jake is terrific in the musical. He does get one song in, but I will say there's also a very special actress who's in this is Eliza Sonnenschein, who you just saw. She plays Rachel's sister, Nikki. She also has great technique with songs like Saving All My Love for You. The show's almost all sold out. They only have 4 performances left, August the 17th, the 13th, the 17th, the 24th, and the 26th. So check that out, 3 o'clock on the 13th, and then at 8 o'clock on the 17th, the 24th, and the 26th. Last weekend, Peggy, Ricky Riccardi and I were hanging out at the Satchmo Summerfest to hear about A Wonderful World. That's the new musical that the Louis Armstrong basic life story has inspired. It opens here in October. There's Ricky and I, and the poster behind us. Chris Renshaw is the director. He was also there to let the audience know about the set designs and the costumes and to give us all an update on what will happen with the musical moving forward. Now, Ricky, of course, who is the executive director of the Louis Armstrong House Museum in Queens, had a great time interviewing Chris, and I have an update on what was said. I have to tell you, James Monroe Iglehart, who's slated to play Louis Armstrong, was just announced as being attached to Spamalot. That's the Monty Python musical that's being revived later this year. That means the earliest that A Wonderful World could open on Broadway would be in the fall of 2024. So we're going to have to be a little bit...
But it's on the road right now, sort of in
It'll be pre-Broadway here first, and then in October later in Chicago, but only for a few weeks. And then they're going to wait. So they can't even begin to start thinking about it until the fall of 2024 because James Monroe Iglehart, if Spamalot gets carried over, you know, that's going to be another bit of a problem. Also at the Sanger, by the way, tomorrow, tickets go on sale for MJ the Musical. This is the national tour. This will be a highlight, ladies and gentlemen, of this year's Broadway series. Not to be missed. It was wonderful on Broadway. Meanwhile, some housekeeping notes. A.J. Allegra has been announced as the new artistic director at Le Petit Theater. We all know he will do a fabulous job there from the NOLA Project. Also taking on her role as board chair is Janet Daly Duval, who we see here with New Orleans Theater Association's Mike Mitchell. But with AJ's departure for the NOLA Project, we have an interim managing director, Monica Harris, on the left there, and then 2 artistic directors, Leslie Clavery and Pamela D. Roberts, in the center, and the new NOLA Project board chair, David Eamon. So, that's all new leadership for the NOLA Project. 2 quick mentions as we close out. The Fat Squirrel Productions production of Star-Crossed, a Shakespeare Nightmare, has moved now to the Big Couch, 3400 St. Claude Avenue. That opens on Monday. It was supposed to be, as you remember, at the Ty Tracy Theater, but now at the Big Couch.
Oh, boy.
And tomorrow night and Saturday night only, What's Love Got to Do with It? Well, Tina Turner. That's the tribute show. She'll be seen in the personage of an actress at Cutting Edge Theater in Slidell. You can check that out again at 767 Robert Boulevard in Slidell, and hopefully get a little taste of Tina Turner.
All right. Thank you so much. Nationally acclaimed New Orleans author Maurice Carlos Ruffin's book, The Ones Who Don't Say They Love You, has been selected to represent our state at this weekend's National Book Festival in Washington, D.C. And the Louisiana Center for the Book and the State Library of Louisiana announced recently that Ruffin is the recipient of their 24th Annual Louisiana Writers Award. Plus, he's currently in Senegal as one of 15 artists in residence for the prestigious Black Rock Senegal residency in Dakar. Wow, huh? Here's our recent interview with Ruffin concerning all this good news.
They asked me to, I'm not even sure what it was. They were like, let's get on the Zoom and like have a talk about some other upcoming event. And then 15 minutes to, they say, oh, by the way, we should tell you something, like, well, what's going on? And then they announced it, and I was speechless, for about 3 or 4 minutes then. The idea that I could be a part of this sort of pantheon of Louisiana writers that I respect so much it's really special to me. I think that day I got 3 pieces of good news. One was that it had been selected to be one of the Louisiana books at the National Book Festival. I was getting the Louisiana Writers Award, and I was going to Senegal for a residency. So all 3 in the course of like 2 hours. I don't know, I should have like played the lottery or something. Yeah, so my short story collection, The Ones Who Don't Say They Love You, the idea behind that book was to make 19 stories that showed sides of New Orleans I'd never really seen in other stories. Again, I grew up reading wonderful work by Sherwood Anderson and William Faulkner, but often the African-American characters were like sort of side characters. The title comes from the short story that was written before the book came out, The Ones Who Don't Say They Love You. And I think it's open to interpretation. I think one of the characters in that title story, he says that people often say that they love him, and he doesn't trust those people. It's the people that don't say they love you, who are not trying to, trip over their feet, showing how much they care. He trusts those people. And so I think New Orleans is kind of like that. I think New Orleans is the kind of place where sometimes it can be a little bit rough to live here. And yet, if you hang in there, there's so much goodness and there's so much community that it makes it one of the best places to live in America. I think maybe out of the 19 stories, 7 feature young people. I think about 40% of the stories feature women or non-binary characters or trans characters. And this is just me showing people from my community that I've known in my life, people in my family, and giving them center stage so that people could understand what our city is really like.
By the way, Ruffin's, a former attorney, is an associate professor of creative writing at LSU. But he got his Master's of Fine Arts degree in creative writing from the nationally known Writers Program at UNO. An interview with Ruffin conducted for the National Book Festival by Jim Davis of the Louisiana Book Festival will be posted on the Louisiana Book Festival's YouTube channel. We're so proud of him. Now it is time for Picks, Poppy.
Well, it's Napoleon's 253rd, but it's Julia Child's 111th birthday. And boy, she looks great for her age. And Bayona is continuing their tradition of the annual Julia Child dinner honoring her birthday. It's going to happen next Friday and Saturday night, and the food's going to be fabulous, and it's always a grand event. People show up in costume. That was wild New Orleanian cap a horn in that shot.
I'm sure some people were curious. Jose.
Well, I'm a big fan of the Royal Frenchman Hotel, right? And it's owned, the only black-owned hotel in New Orleans, owned by 2 Creole brothers.
Right there in Washington Square.
Right there across, Josh Daly and his brother. And Josh was my neighbor. But they have a great music program. And they have one of my favorite band names, the Jazz Vipers. They're there on Mondays for all of August. And then my other second favorite, the Trumpet Mafia.
Oh,
They're there on Tuesday, and you got to experience them. And I just want to say that if you love music and you want to experience something in the barrio, in the neighborhood, you got to get there. And I just wanted to make sure that we shout out David Cunin and Greg Lambusi, both at the Jazz Museum, who are very supportive of the Color of Music project.
All right,
but
good.
Get to the Royal Frenchman.
Great guys.
Enjoy a drink and check out these bands.
Alan.
Don't forget, next Tuesday is the finals for the Stage Door Idol. I know I'll be there, and I'll see you there, and I'll see the rest of you at the theater.
All right, thank you. Now my picks, Dirty Linen Night, an evening of shops and gallery openings in the quarter. Saturday night, 60 of them, by the way. It takes place the Saturday evening from 6 to 9. dirtylinen.org for more information about that. Check out the Angela King Gallery on Royal, and also look at Harry Marone. He's created another marionette in his series, and he'll have others on view. That's Ruthie the Duck Girl, complete with duck and roller skates, and she will be on view at the Creasons Gallery on Charter Street. The crew of the Rolling Elvi and the Sassy Frass Group present a blood drive at Tipitina's on Sunday from noon to 4. Lots of music and dance crews will be performing, including the Jailhouse Rockers and the Sassy Racks, too. Check the crew of the Rolling Elvi's Facebook page for more info. Brian Altabello, and he is the author of Whiskey, Women in War. He'll be signing the book, and this is about, by the way, New Orleans around World War I and also Storyville. He'll be signing on Tuesday from 6 to 7:30 at Blue Cypress Books right there on Oak Street. Looking ahead, the Amici Group, which helps organize the Met Opera Finals in New Orleans and provide support to local winners, will have a fundraiser on August the 19th. You can get their tickets for $40 for Amici members and $50 for non-members. And you see AmiciSummerGala.eventbrite.com for more information. It's at the Felicity and Uptown, but it's a beautiful, beautiful venue. But it's very exciting because Jamez McCorkle, who is a local, but he's performing at the Met and all over the world, is going to be the headliner. So we're very, very glad about that. And before we leave you, just a quick another culinary tidbit. Poppy,
Alan, you've got some hot scoop for us. You've been to Manali's?
I've been to Manali's. They have an incredible stuffed trout, speckled trout with lump crab meat and shrimp. Don't tell my rabbi, but it was delicious.
Okay. Thank you all very much.
Thanks,
and thank you
Peg.
for watching. Good night.
Thank you.
The American Italian Cultural Center and Museum on South Peters in New Orleans offers event venue space, Italian language classes, dual citizenship and translation services, seminars, genealogy, and trips to Italy. Ciao, AmericanItalianCulturalCenter.com. This program is brought to you in part by the Eugenie and Joseph Jones Family Foundation, a local foundation proud to support education, the arts, and culture in the greater New Orleans area.